I call the 2413th meeting of the Milwaukee City Council to order. This meeting is being held in person at City Hall and by video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall or joining the Zoom webinar. The meeting is being broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and Comcast Cable Channel 30 within city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during this meeting. If you would like to address council, you may come to City Hall or participate via Zoom. If you are interested in speaking, please let staff know by filling out a yellow comment card for those at City Hall or emailing ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov for those on Zoom. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards, email inbox, and Zoom participant list and chat. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Comments may be emailed to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. We ask that all Zoom participants who intend to speak label their Zoom username to show their first and last names for the record. Spanish translation services are available upon request. The public is asked to request translation and other meeting accessibility services at least 48 hours before the meeting. For more information, contact the city recorder at 503-786-7502. Servicios de traducción en español está disponible cuando sea solicitado. Se pide al público que solicite servicios de traducción y otros servicios de accesibilidad por lo menos 48 horas antes de la reunión. Para obtener más información, llama al secretario de la ciudad a 503-786-7502. Translation services are also available in other languages. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The City of Milwaukee respectfully acknowledges that our community is located on the ancestral homeland of the Clackamas people. In 1855, the surviving members of the Clackamas signed the Willamette Valley Treaty, also known as the Kalapuya, etc. Treaty, with the federal government in good faith. We offer our respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this land. Okay, and it's time for our announcements. First, I had added something to the original list of announcements that the city provided because the list of announcements began with leaf drop, but I wanted to put in a pitch for leaving your leaves. The Xerxes Society and people who are, Milwaukee is has been newly recognized as a Bee City USA, and that's all about, preserving and facilitating healthy pollinator habitat. And leaving the leaves is an easy thing you can do to move that needle. So if you've got leaves in your yard, rake them into the beds, rake them into your vegetable beds, your flower beds, under your trees, under your shrubs. You don't have to leave them on the lawn if you're worried about them damaging the lawn, but get them off and keep them on site. They shelter bugs. They're a nursery for beneficial insects and pollinators. So I do want to encourage people to leave the leaves and support our pollinators. I will just personal testimonial. I only kind of learned about this maybe 6 years ago, and the first winter I did it, I had a whole lot more birds in my yard in the winter, going through the leaves, finding bugs. They really do create, habitat for the bugs and therefore attract the birds. So with that, I will say if you're determined to take your leaves, the city does have free leaf drop sessions for those who live within city limits. The next one takes place on Saturday, November 9th from 7 a.m., that's this Saturday, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Public Works Yard on Johnson Creek Boulevard. To participate, please bring along a utility bill as proof of residency. Leaves are accepted in paper or plastic bags or loose. However, paper bags are preferred because they make the drop-off process easier and reduce waste. The service is free, but the city is collecting non-perishable food for local families, and participants are encouraged but not required to donate. Volunteer to help remove invasive plants and pick up litter at Minthorn Springs this Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Tools, gloves, and snacks are provided. And I will say, I mean, a lot of times this work party is about pulling vines and pulling blackberry, but this week we've got some special tasks, namely putting some fencing around some trees that beavers are going to town on. So we're trying to preserve some trees to keep some habitat over the, or some shade and canopy over the water there. And so we'll be doing some beaver remediation. Get to know Letting Libraries Library of Things at an open house on Thursday, November 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. They will have instruments, games, puzzles, and much more for you to explore. All ages are welcome. Join a third Saturday volunteer event at Elk Rock Island on Saturday, November 16th from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Volunteers remove invasive plants and pick up litter. Bring mud gear, gloves, a water bottle, and your favorite digging or clipping tools. Our city manager, Emma Sager, is hosting an open door session here in the council chambers at City Hall on Friday, November 22nd from 9 to 10 a.m. Stop by to ask questions, raise concerns, or just find out more about the city. No sign up is necessary. The Thanksgiving Farmers Market returns on Sunday, November 24th from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is a great time to stock up on fresh local produce and ingredients for the holidays. The market is held in the parking lot downtown at Harrison and Main Streets. For more information about each of these events and others, please visit the city's homepage at milwaukieoregon.gov or call 503-786-7555. And then we have a lovely election-themed haiku. Rustle of papers, choices inked with care and pride, future penned today. I would love to take credit for having written this haiku, but alas, I cannot. Scott Stauffer gets credit for finding it. I don't think he gets credit. I believe this is a haiku that was written by AI. So, yes.
Need a disclaimer.
We're not submitting it for an exam, for a grade. I will say I have a, we did get a submission from one of the City of Portland people who visited us at a recent meeting. I guess they were inspired by the haiku at that meeting, and they did submit a haiku, which I will be reading at the next meeting. I hope I will get some haiku suggested for our winter events in December, but I think due to lack of submissions of haiku, I will probably end this practice at the end of the calendar year. But you still have December to get in some haiku and have your haiku read from the dais.
Get rid of it?
Yeah.
I was formulating my shock in the form of a haiku. Don't do it.
Well, if you help me get some submissions, I could potentially reconsider.
We're gonna make it happen.
Okay.
In 575.
Okay. Before we move on, just in the theme of Election Day and that haiku, I just wanted to commend my fellow counselors for not politicizing. We have two counselors who are up for reelection today. I really appreciate that no one on this council thought it was appropriate to campaign from the dais. We know, unfortunately, that our county commissioners don't use such discretion, and there was some active campaigning from their dais by Commissioner Ben West. So I just want to tell you guys that I appreciate that everyone understood that this is not a place for that. And with that, we will turn to our Veterans Day proclamation, for which we have some guests in the room. And I think Council President Massey and Councilor Khosrowshahi are going to shepherd that.
So yes, we're going to recognize veterans on Veterans Day. For those of you who don't know, Veterans Day is in honor of all who have served, okay? And you know, how many of them are there? Well, there's roughly 18 million veterans in the United States, which is about 7% of the population. And they all appreciate a thank you for your service, but I would suggest you go a little bit further. Ask them what service they were in, what unit they were attached to. Just ask them to tell you an interesting story. We all have at least one interesting story, and often more, because we did some interesting things when we were fairly young, and they're very proud of their service, and you might be surprised by what they tell you. It's a good time. So with that, I'll turn it over to Councilor Khosrowshahi.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, just to touch on that, you know, it's a very small percentage of the population that does a very large and incredible job in protecting an entire nation. So the gratitude can't be extended enough because it's really the military and the veterans are based on individuals from all walks of life, even ones that society historically has looked down upon, have served this country in hopes of a better, brighter future, and they've done so. So let's remember that, and let's also understand that the veterans do struggle mightily with mental health, and there's a high suicide rate within veteran population, especially women veterans. And if you know of it, just know that there is help out there. There's been recent legislation passed called the Compact Act, passed January 17th of 2023. Same time, the PACT Act, that actually gives veterans up to 30 days of inpatient care and an additional 90 days of outpatient care at a treatment facility of their choice. So if there are veterans that need help, just know that there is help out there. There is legislation out there that provides that help. And if you know a veteran, or if you're a family member of a vet, thank you for their service. Thank them for their service. That goes a long way. And just you know, sitting down and saying hello and shooting it with them is also a good thing. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
So we have a number of our partners in the Veterans Appreciation world with us today, and so I'm going to ask them to come forward. The first I'm going to ask to come forward is Jerry Craig from Legion Post 180.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. So you're going to read the proclamation first, or do you want me to say something?
I think we'll have you guys all make your remarks. Oh, sorry. I think we'll have you guys all make your remarks first, and then we'll read the proclamation at the end.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay.
I have a couple things to say, but we've considered that we've recovered from the pandemic. As you know, we were closed down for quite a while. Some of you do. And our membership has started to climb back up. So we're about 530 members. Some of them don't all come to the post, but we consider them part of our family. We have the same events we had prior to that, whether it be a dinner or some kind of meeting or association with other legions. The big thing we've really accomplished is getting back to serving dinners and breakfast and that kind of thing for the veterans and the community. And we've let them know. The biggest thing is, Mr. Massey said, we have an open house at the post from 1 to 4 on the 11th. That is Veterans Day. We've got American Legion Post 186, which constitutes members who play instruments throughout the Northwest. They all form this group, and they've came and done a lot of playing on the 11th and other associations with us. We get a pretty good crowd, and they always tell me, a lot of us are getting older. Well, I'm kind of in that boat too, but I tell them, come on down and see what you can do. That's from 3 to 5 on the 11th. The biggest thing I can say is we're doing our annual Thanksgiving dinner. It's free to the community, veterans, homeless, whoever we want to come in. That goes from 12 to 4. It's all you can eat. And I can tell you from prior experience, we don't have anything at the end of it, so we know that it's doing well. Any other questions I can answer? I haven't been here for quite a while.
Is that Thanksgiving dinner also on Veterans Day, or that's later in the
No,
month?
that's the 28th, I'm sorry.
28th. Oh, okay.
That is Thanksgiving, I hope. But, it takes about 4 or 5 days to get prepped, so the post is pretty busy.
Thank you, Jerry.
Well, you're entirely welcome, Captain.
Yeah. We're going to ask Nancy and Phyllis from the Daughters of the American Revolution to come up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you all again. I'm Phyllis Hines. I'm the honorary chapter regent for our chapter, the Susanna Lee Barlow chapter, currently serving as our chapter registrar. Supporting veterans is a priority of the Susanna Lee Barlow chapter of Daughters of the American Revolution. Our chapter began a Vietnam War commemorative partner, our chapter became a Vietnam War commemorative partner with the Department of Defense in 2015. Throughout this time, we have been partners with the City of Milwaukie and the American Legion 180. Together, we have held events where we have presented commemorative pins from the Department of Defense and certificates of appreciation from the National Society of DAR. We have also held other local pinning ceremonies honoring Vietnam veterans. We recently held a pinning ceremony in Happy Valley, and another one this weekend will be in Oregon City. We will continue this mission while we continue to find men and women who have not yet been recognized. Like your city and the American Legion, we received a top performer recognition from the Department of Defense for our commitment to honoring Vietnam veterans.
Our chapter has presented 19 quilts of valor. They went to a World War II veteran, a Vietnam War veterans, and an Iraqi freedom veteran. Last summer, we dedicated our Never Forget garden at Mountain View Cemetery in Oregon City in honor of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We will be supporting women veterans served through Fort Kennedy. We are also partners with Wreaths Across America, where we collect pledges for wreaths to be placed in December on veterans' graves at Willamette National Cemetery. We have left some forms over here on the table. The members of the Susanna Lee Barlow chapter are committed to U.S. veterans and thank the City of Milwaukie for including us in your proclamation for Veterans Day.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming. Scott, do we have someone online?
Yes, Council President. Tina Kennedy with Fort Kennedy is on Zoom. Tina, if you can unmute and say hello. I think you have a couple minutes here to talk about your organization.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for including me in the Veterans Day Proclamation. My name is Tina Kennedy. I'm the Executive Director of Fort Kennedy. The name has been mentioned a few times, but just so everybody's aware, we run a local nonprofit and take care of the homeless and low-income veterans throughout Clackamas County. We've had quite a huge uptick in our clients recently, which is sad. The homeless problem is still an issue that everybody is still talking about. It's very, very serious in our veteran community. As Adam had said, veteran suicide rates are going through the roof. So we're seeing a lot more suicides in our low-income and homeless population due to mental illness and drug addiction. I know that the city has been doing great things. And I want to say thank you to the city of Milwaukie. Being a Mustang myself and being from Milwaukie originally, it's great to see that Milwaukie is stepping it up and taking care of their vets. I wanted to mention that if you or anybody on the council or anybody in Milwaukie knows of a veteran family that is in need this holiday season, we are getting ready to rev up our Thanksgiving and Christmas packages that we do. And we'll probably be delivering about 250 Thanksgiving dinners to low-income veteran families throughout Clackamas County. And we will also be doing presents for low-income veteran families that have children under the age of 18. So if you guys have anybody that you'd like us to put on our list, please get with us. I work really closely with Clackamas County and their veterans programs. They have lost 2 of their employees, so we're going to be a little bit short this holiday season. So if you guys know anybody, want to make sure we don't miss anybody. Again, thank you very much for including me. Veterans Day is very near and dear to my heart. I served for 22 years in the United States Army. I do this work because I love my veterans, and I'm hoping that the work we do every day will prevent some of the veteran suicide going on in our local area. So thank you very much for including me.
Well, let me thank Tina and Nancy, Phyllis, and Jerry for all you do for our veterans community. Adam, I read the proclamation last year, so why don't you take it this year? Sure.
Thank you, sir. Oh. Thanks. Whereas the United States first proclaimed November 11th, 1919 as Armistice Day to mark the end of World War I, the war to end all wars, and to solemnly reflect on the horrific consequences of all wars. And whereas since 1919, the 11th day of the 11th month has come to be a time to recognize the contributions made by the millions of men and women who answered our nation's call to arms in the pursuit of world peace. And whereas Veterans Day brings communities together to honor military veterans and their legacy of selfless services and sacrifice, and to remember the millions of civilians and military personnel who have died or been injured by war. And whereas the United States Department of Defense recognizes that the risk of future wars will be greatly increased by climate chaos and the resulting forced migrations due to devastating starvation, inundation, fires, flooding, and drought, and we should do everything necessary to decrease those effects. And whereas the city of Milwaukie has been proud to partner with American Legion Post 180 and the Susanna Lee Barlow chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution to recognize and honor veterans in community who did not come home. And whereas the city of Milwaukie recognizes the sacrifices made by those who served our country so that all may pursue life, liberty, and happiness.
Now, therefore, I, Lisa Beatty, Mayor of the City of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2024 to be Veterans Day in the City of Milwaukie. Thank you guys all for coming out, and we really appreciate it. And
You're all welcome to stay, but if you want to hear the consent agenda or the capital improvement project, you can hang on, but you can leave if you need to.
thank you. This is the part of the agenda during which the council will hear community member comments regarding city business that is not already on the agenda. Before we begin, is there any follow-up from the October 15th comments, Ms. Sager?
Thank you, Mayor. There were no verbal comments provided at the October 15th meeting. However, in your packet, there were 2 pieces of correspondence sent to the council in between that I would love to quickly address. The first was a letter from the beer store requesting an extension to their parklet. I wanted to kind of follow up and give a little bit of background on that. So the city does not normally allow winter parklets. However, last year, the beer store made a very similar extension. So if you saw that letter and thought, I thought we already talked about this, you did last fall. And Oh, I'm sorry, I'm done. Too long. So Beer Store has not submitted an application yet for 2024, but I believe this correspondence was sort of their formal request for your support. From the staff side, we are happy to approve the request again, as we did last year, but I did want to check in and make sure none of you have concerns, given that that correspondence went to you.
I'm not seeing any concerns. I think if there were, I think last year there was some worry about maintenance over the winter or all of that, but they seem to do a good job of maintaining it. And I'm seeing nodding heads that there's no staff worries about extending it, so.
Great. Okay, we'll follow up with them and get that approved. The second letter that came to council was from a resident regarding a van that she believes people are camping in that had kind of been reported to code enforcement, moves, but kind of staying in the neighborhood. So I followed up with our police department and code enforcement on that. The resident who wrote in is accurate that there's, our procedure is if a vehicle has been in the same parking or the same place in the right of way for 3 days, code enforcement tags it, requesting it to be moved. And in this case, them moving it to another block is their compliance with that, which I recognize can be frustrating to neighborhoods. After that correspondence came in, code enforcement went back out to the vehicle, did notice their tags were expired, so provided a citation for that. We're continuing to follow up. I talked to the chief today, and he's going to have our behavioral health coordinator also check in with that individual. I would ask that, for this situation or for others, that community members continue to contact code enforcement if you notice these things and have concerns. At this time, staff do not recommend, I think the correspondence talked about potentially changing our procedure or after a certain number of times doing an automatic tow. At this point, staff don't recommend making those changes, but we'll continue to monitor and provide updates and let you know if that changes.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think there's anybody in the room who's looking to make public comment. Mr. Stauffer, is there anyone online?
There is a person in the Zoom participation area, and their hand is raised.
And their hand is raised. Okay, so I will continue with my script. For those in person who wish to speak, please submit a yellow comment card found on the table just inside the chamber door. If you are on Zoom, please use the raise hand reaction, which it sounds like you already have, to alert staff that you wish to speak. And when instructed to begin, click the microphone option to unmute yourself. If you are calling in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. You may also submit a comment via email to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. Before you make your comments, please state your name and city of residence for the record. If you would like the city to follow up with you, please submit your contact information to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. As council has other business items on the agenda this evening, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because information provided during community comments may be new, this is not the time for discussion, but the city manager will respond at the next council meeting to those comments that require follow-up. So Mr. Stauffer, would you?
Shelley Hicks, you've been allowed to speak, so go ahead and start talking.
Yes, I am a Gresham resident. My son was ticketed 4 years ago in your city and has just now, less than a month ago, received the paperwork to either show up in court or, well, it just says to pay the ticket. It was 4 years ago, October, at the time that all the DMVs were closed. They were not even taking appointments. And he went in to try and pay the ticket and was unable to make a court date and told that he could write a letter asking for a refund because it's way past the statute of limitations, which is 1 year. 6 months, I see two different things online that say 6 months or a year. But regardless, 4 years is way past. And I'm just wondering, like, does he get any due process? And why is this happening 4 years later? This is his first notification other than the initial being pulled over. And so, I guess just want to make you guys aware that your city is now ticketing people 4 years later. And I guess I kind of find it very preposterous, honestly. And I've tried to talk to an attorney, and there are no attorneys that take anything under a misdemeanor. So basically, they're giving him no choice but to pay this $430 ticket, which half of it was due to the DMV being closed. He couldn't get his license reinstated. He had no other way to get to work through COVID and couldn't get insurance without having his license being reinstated. So as we're, he wasn't contesting that he was speeding, but contesting that he could do anything about it at the time. Of course, now he's licensed and registered.
Thank you for calling in and alerting us to this situation. If you could send your contact information to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov, or you could text it also to our recorder. I mean, not text it, but put it in chat. No?
Emailing is
Emailing is better. Okay. Then staff can follow up with you, which I imagine they would do sooner than 2 weeks from now. But if not, 2 weeks from now, the city manager will address what she learns about the situation at our next meeting. So thank you. Okay, with that, no other people in the room? Okay.
And Mayor, before we jump into the next thing, we just noticed a couple edits to the script. So on your consent, before you read that, you'll notice a highlighted X for the item C, and that's the name of the contractor. It's Landis and Landis.
Okay.
And then later on in the script, when we refer to best value contracting, a couple times it refers to SAFE projects. It should be CIP projects. Not all of them are SAFE projects. Apologies.
Oh, that's
for
in the
those.
public hearing?
That's in the
And
public
bring that up later. Okay.
For now, Landis and Landis.
Okay. Tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the City Council September 10th, 2024 study session, September 17th, 2024 work session, September 17th, 2024 regular session, October 1st, 2024 work session, October 1st, 2024 regular session, a resolution appointing Joanna Tabasek to the Library Board and Max Pennick to the Planning Commission, a resolution authorizing a public improvement contract for Landis and Landis for construction of the Ardenwald North Improvements Project, CIP 2021-W61, a resolution authorizing an agreement with the United States Department of Transportation for the safety assessment of the Harrison Street corridor. Does any council member wish to remove a consent agenda item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Sure, yes.
Okay, I move to approve consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None heard. It is passed unanimously. We did have a stormwater and erosion control code amendments ordinance on our agenda, but it has been rescheduled to November the 19th. So we're moving on to the capital improvement plan. Which is, wait.
Yeah, the title of that item got changed in the script, but there's some safes left.
Yeah.
CIP is correct.
CIP is correct. Okay. Capital Improvement Plan Projects Best Value Contracting Resolution. The public hearing on the proposed use of best value construction contracting for certain CIP projects is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider authorizing the contracting method for certain projects. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll turn to the staff, City Engineer Jen Garbely and Associate Engineer Hector Gomez Barrios.
Thank you. So we're here tonight to deliver some findings in order to do alternative bid for construction. And what that means is we're proposing best value. And just real quick, best value is taking qualified evaluation, which is 35% of the points, and then still getting a low bid, which is 65% of the points. So we're taking kind of the best of both worlds. We're able to look at qualifications of this contractor and still get that low bid. So we have good numbers and things like that. I want to remind you that we did this for Washington area improvements, and it is going very smoothly. And we've gotten a great bid. So, Hector, can you talk about the findings?
Yeah, of course. Hello. And for the best value contract, there's 3 projects that are going to go Milwaukie downtown street sidewalks and Storm, Harvey Street, and King Road. The findings for Milwaukie downtown, we're going to be using silver cells, replacing 5 trees and replacing silver cell on that foundation for the pervious sidewalk to be placed on. So when stormwater occurs, it flows better and there's not like pavement uplift in the downtown street, which is a problem currently right now. And
we also haven't used this product before. So that is kind of the big push of why we really want to make sure we have a qualified engineer and contractor to actually do the work. With low bid, we don't get to ask that question. We just have to take the bid. So we're looking at doing this process so we can actually make sure they've done this before, they've used the product, and we're not just getting someone that's trying it fresh off the truck.
For Harvey Road or Street, there's the work being done is a water line replacement. So we have to disconnect and reconnect water line services along Harvey Street. And also we're placing our first stormwater pump along 42nd and Harvey, as well. We're placing a rapid flashing beacon on Roswell and 42nd. And what's it called?
This is also a $5 million project. It's in the middle of a residential area. We need a contractor that has great traffic control, great going door to door, getting notifications. Just really wanting to make sure we're getting qualified contractors to do our work here.
Thank you. On the next project is King Road, which is on a arterial road, and it's going to be a grind and pave on replacing with pervious road. And we're also building side paths on each side on the existing corridor. And so closing that road is going to be complicated because there's so many cars that passes through. And we're also upgrading the traffic signals on 43rd and King. And I think that's just getting a contractor that understands that this is a arterial road and a lot of cars pass.
We'll be requiring the roadway to be open in both directions. So the site is going to be tight, traffic, and make sure buses will be able to get through. Schools that cross over King Road, we have a school zone that does. So getting kids across the street to get to school is going to be highly important. So traffic control is going to be huge. This has got businesses and residents. So huge notifications needing to be going out. But the biggest thing is really how they control a safe construction site through everything that's going to still be open while we're getting through this. Any questions from you of why we want to do best value for the three projects?
Do we have any questions? Is this the side I'm supposed to start on for question?
Do you have a sense of how many of the folks going out to bid on our contracts pay full family medical benefits or prevailing wage?
What was that again?
Do you have a sense of how many of the folks who are coming to bid for our contracts pay full family medical benefits or prevailing wage on projects?
They have to pay prevailing wage no matter what. That's a
Okay.
requirement of our project.
Okay.
So that's an automatic requirement. Unless it's federal, then it's the federal wage, which is a little slightly different, but all projects that we do, you have to pay prevailing wage. I
Okay.
can't speak to paying medical benefits as I never asked for that information.
Okay, that's fair. I know a lot of non-union contractors will pay for medical benefits just in addition to your salary, as opposed to paying for full family medical benefits across the entire contracting company. And so I know that it's one of the ways that they can give a lowest bid, but it ends up really hurting workers down the line. And so as we think about best value contracting, I'd love to think about some of the other kind of pro-worker policies that we can include in this. And maybe that's not a conversation for now, but I appreciate this type of bidding, and I'd love to have the conversation stay open. Thank you.
No questions on this side? No? I had a couple sort of minor questions. I was excited to see all the permeable pavement referenced in here because I know we did that on Lake Road and we haven't done it since Lake Road, have we? Or have we been using it otherwise?
We use it more on paths, trails type of things, but an actual roadway, Lake Road was the first one. King Road is ideal for it as it's straight and it's an arterial and has lots of volume and no parking on. So I'm bringing it back to King Road. I'm wanting to do it on King Road as well.
Great. Stormwater pump, was pumping it down to the new facility at Meek Street, or where is it? Where's the stormwater
Do you know
pump?
where it's gonna go?
Pump?
It's going to go to Howe. It's connecting to Howe, that we,
Okay.
the 42nd and 43rd
Uh-huh.
capital improvement project that we did previously. We're extending a pipe to Howe Street,
Okay,
connecting there.
okay. And it's just an elevation change is why we have to pump it as a, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
And Linwood, you said you'd be replacing the light at 43rd or upgrading the light. Is,
Actually, that's going to be done on another project with the county because we are getting the panel blocks done with a grant that we got through them. So that is, we're actually going to stop right before that signal. So
okay.
I'm sorry, that was misinformed for Hector, but we're actually stopping right before that signal. Anything that doesn't get finalized with the county and wants to be updated, that'll happen with our Harrison safety assessment because that's where the project starts, is at that signal and then goes around our S curve to
Right.
Harrison.
Right.
So we'll finalize anything else that's going to happen with that signal with that project.
okay. I just was curious, is the intersection at Linwood and King, is that considered in the city or it's not? It's not, okay.
Nope.
Okay. And the other thing, I just wanted to make sure I understood, even though you're asking for the best value contracting for these three, you're not planning to contract them out altogether?
No.
Okay,
Just instead of coming back to you 3 different times, I thought we could loop
Yep.
this in as one and be efficient.
Sure.
But they will all go out at different times.
yeah,
First will probably be Hector's project with the stormwater as it's ready to go. It's got all of its documents prepped and he's prepping to use Bonfire, which is exciting. And then depending on how Harvey and King come through, those will be along the next couple of months.
okay, great. All right, no other questions? Okay, have we received any additional correspondence on this topic? Have we received any correspondence on this topic?
Not that I'm aware of. Nope.
Okay. Does anyone wish to comment on the proposed use of best value contracting? There's no one in the room. Is there anyone online? Okay, then I will forego this script. Staff doesn't need to respond to testimony. Another opportunity for questions. Last chance for questions for staff. If there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
I'll move to close the public comment part of the safe best value contracting hearing.
CIP.
The public comment part of the CIP best value contracting hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the CIP best value contracting hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Okay, is council ready to vote? I'd entertain a motion.
Okay. Oh, if you give me that one.
In that motion language, it should say capital improvement plan and not safe.
Yeah, the last part should.
Really apologize about that, not catching those.
Scott, you do a lot already. I move to approve the resolution acting as a local contract review board, adopting findings and allowing the use of best value construction contracting for CIP projects.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution acting as the local contract review board, adopting findings and allowing for the use of best value contracting for the capital improvement plan or CIP projects. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. None heard. It's approved unanimously. Jennifer, I did have one comment. It's a comment really, but it had to do with downtown, since a piece of this is downtown. This weekend, the Neighborhood Association and the Rotary and different people were doing sort of sprucing up the bulb outs, the pollinator pathway, and weeding and putting down bark dust. But I had noticed in their some of their promotion of that on social media, that they had commented that they get tire tracks through the middle of the bulb outs, meaning cars are getting off the road and driving in the bulb outs. And I actually witnessed, I was out there to help, and I actually witnessed, it didn't go completely into the bulb out, but I did witness a trailer headed right around Cha-Cha-Cha, around the frontage of Cha-Cha-Cha, headed toward Milwaukie Lumber, going at a pretty fast speed for the conditions and all the volunteers that were out there, but really did kind of pull his trailer tires up on the curb. So I guess as we think about downtown, I don't know if, the yellow, like you've done on Lake Road to highlight the curbs or what kind of things we have to do to sort of, try to protect sort of all the work that's going into these pollinator pathways and other, improvements like that. Just wanted to sort of put it on your radar screen.
Sounds great.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So with that, we have council reports. I had 1 million pages of them in your staff report, but I don't have any to give orally. Anyone else? Looks like Councilor Anderson.
I can be really quick because I think we'd all like to be off the dais soon. From C4, a few things that are important. We had a conversation about our community connector transit study. Councilor Kusarbati, I think you're going to be excited about this one. It's looking at microtransit across the region, coordinated through Metro. The report is supposed to come back with some recommendations in 2026. And so I'll keep you all posted on that. In the spring, so early in 2026, Sunrise Corridor.
Are there opportunities for us to engage? I mean, will they be coming to us to see what we think we need by way of microtransit?
That is a good point. Yes, there will be points to engage along the process. 2026 is the end. Yep. Another process that's going on is the Sunrise Corridor Plan. This likely will be looking at the writing on the wall. I think Rafa asked that Clackamas County is trying to get momentum to submit. I think there are a few concerns around the Sunrise Corridor Plan as presented in C4, one of which in that area, there's an emphasis on trying to make it a transit hub, which I really appreciate. But at the same time, they're saying they're not wanting to do any new housing or growth in that area. And I think it's challenging to see an area of 7,000 folks well served by transit without any type of housing or growth. This is Sunrise Corridor, the area a little bit south. And there are definitely some constraints. There's industrial land, but I think it's a challenging, I think you can say you want to create a transit corridor all you want, but if you don't create the housing conditions needed for it, that's really challenging. And the other thing that I see as a real problem with the plan is there's no long-term or no immediate plan for incorporation with Happy Valley. And I think adding all of these investments and creating these in-depth plans for unincorporated regions without trying to also see incorporation to be able to continue that development and planning going forward is a really challenging proposal. So I'd love to follow up with you all on this and keep you posted as it goes forward.
Great, thank you. Council President's shaking his head. Other council reports? Okay.
I just have a short one. I wanted to thank council for showing up to the Business of Milwaukie event. That was really great and wonderful to see all of you. I also wanted to mention that there's a special showing of a film on Friday the 8th, and it's called No Place to Grow Old. It's being hosted by Love One and The Father's Heart. They're doing a special screening of this documentary, and it delves into the growing crisis around senior homelessness right in our area. The film is about 45 minutes. It'll be followed by a panel discussion with folks that are involved at the ground level and at a system level across Clackamas County. So it's at Clackamas Community College at 7 p.m. on November the 8th. And if anyone's interested, I can give you the URL to get a free ticket. Thank you, that's all I had.
Great. All right. With that, I think we are ready to adjourn. Nothing else? I'm looking around. Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. We are adjourned. And I might even have beaten the council president's record.